Good morning to you. I've got a wee thing I want to put out, all right? And it's just because Facebook are doing their usual, which is sending all my posts to the bottom of each group I send a post to. Okay, here we are. It's entitled The Criminal Mastermind. It's because this week marks the 75th anniversary of the opening of the National Health Service, which is a marvellous thing. It's the jewel in the crown for our country and the other countries that make up the union. However, what we're seeing now is we're seeing TV programs going out. NHS, can we fix it? And they're all looking to get their noses stuck in the trough that's made up by health insurance. Anyway, I'll continue reading this. I cannot understand why people don't see what has been done when the Tory government in London released the Health and Social Care Bill 2012. Sure, the name sounds innocuous enough, fairly harmless really, but it's directly due to that piece of legislation that the English NHS and by extension the Scottish NHS are both underfunded and will end up as being funded by health insurance. I assure all of you, that legislation was dreamt up by a criminal mastermind. What it did, in essence, was divert money away from the NHS in England and fed it to the private healthcare companies who had bid for and won the contracts to provide healthcare services, often within the NHS hospital that previously ran the unit. The clever, if you could call something so evil clever, parts of the legislation were 1. Taking away the responsibility of the health of the nation from the health secretary. 2. Making the funding follow the patient instead of blanket funding that covered all of the NHS. 3. Allowed and encouraged private healthcare firms to purchase and run doctors, GPs, practices, which in turn saw GPs push patients towards the private healthcare unit for intervention. Now, why that should happen, I don't know. I do know that Virgin Healthcare bought a lot of doctors' practices and filled them with locums. So perhaps you can take that, figure that out, that one out for yourself, right? Um, so there you have the perfect way to starve the NHS of funding. In the budget each year, even when the Chancellor of the Exchequer announced record funding of the NHS, what he meant was record amounts of funding going behind the patient, which would reach the NHS. Well, it didn't. It would instead go directly to the pockets of his mates who own shares in private healthcare. Thanks for all who are watching. Please share if you can when this is finished. The next big thing for them will be to convince the people of England that their NHS is broken and they'll be forced, to bring in a health insurance model to pay for the NHS. After the gaslighting that the mainstream media have provided with programmes entitled Can We Fix the NHS?, the people of England will give in easily to a health insurance model. Do you ever wonder what Rishi Sunak was up to or was doing when he met all the heads of the private health insurance companies in America before he became Prime Minister? Perhaps they were discussing the weather or the golf, but it would be a good guess that he was briefing them on how far along Project Burn NHS was going. When NHS England becomes funded by health insurance, due to the way that our Scottish NHS is funded via the Barnett formula, Scotland will be faced with no direct funding and will be forced to take on the same health insurance model. At that point, the people with money will see little change as they'll purchase the health insurance needed, don't worry about that, but those that can't afford it would face a bleak and painful future. What can I say? Always yours for Scotland. Me, David Milligan. Thanks for coming on board, guys. And do please share this. we needing people outside our bubble to hear this story about the NHS and what the Tories have done to gerrymander a situation where we could lose our free at point of use NHS. You don't want to do that. Anybody that lives maybe in America, they'll tell you, for goodness sake, don't lose what you've got. Okay, guys, have a lovely day, and I'll be speaking to you tomorrow. Today it's my daughter's birthday, so I want to get on with celebrations for that. All right, bye, guys.